Hi, I'm Wade from Thoroughbred Diesel, and today we're going to be doing the 6.0 Powerstroke Buyer's Guide. All right, guys, first off, this is a big one for us. This is the 6.0 Powerstroke Buyer's Guide, and this is one that we've had a lot of requests for. So something that's been important to you all, for us to give to you, is as important for us to be able to show you a good looking truck. And this truck is from here in our hometown of Winchester, Kentucky. It's from a good friend of our company's that has been around Thoroughbred Diesel for a long time, and he was gracious enough to bring this absolutely gorgeous rig up here. Now normally I've got something that's come out of my fleet of S boxes for you to look at, and everybody fusses about dirty trucks and dirty interiors and whatnot. This is a meticulously clean, and it looks as if it came right off the showroom floor. So that's what you're going to get to see today. So we're going to do the normal stuff. We're going to do exterior, interior, drivetrain, and then we're going to do power plant. We are going to do engine last because that's what we're going to talk about the most. So let's go ahead and start with exterior. Talking exterior of these trucks, and let's just talk about what configurations that the trucks actually came in. The Super Duties you could have gotten from F250s all the way to F550s, and these trucks were in every configuration that you can think of. Obviously you could have gotten regular cab long bed, extended cab short bed like this truck right here, crew cab short bed, crew cab long bed, extended cab long bed, cab and chassis. You get the gist of it. They had all of them. This extended cab long bed, as far as exterior on these trucks go, Ford makes a really awesome overall truck. We talk about that all the time. There wasn't anything that jumped out on these trucks as far as paint peeling that comes that's a high failure that you see on a lot of these trucks. You know, this truck, obviously no rust on it, but normal places that you're going to look when you're looking to buy one of these trucks, you're going to look at the fender wells, you're going to look at rocker panels, especially around the door corners and stuff like that. Any place that the truck has a chance of being dinged, when you ding the clear coat on these, obviously that's where your rust is going to pop up. Fender wells want to be looked at as well. I'm sorry, not the fender wells, but your rocker panels on the back side of the fender wells. Feel around on it, see if it's got any Bondo and whatnot. But yeah, you really just didn't have anything exterior on these trucks that just jumped out to you as a failure rate that you see quite a bit. So really most of these trucks, you know, if they've been taken care of, if they've been washed, if they've been waxed, you're going to have a good looking truck. Now let's do interior. On to interior on these trucks. Now these trucks came in a lot of different interior configurations. You could have gotten, of course, XLT, and you could have gotten, oh shoot, what is it, Adam? Not Ranch Hand, King Ranch, which is a absolutely beautiful worn leather interior. This is just your standard interior. Seats on these were good quality. You didn't have the corner rippings like you do inside the Dodges. However, you can see this seat, even though it's been meticulously taken care of, it still got some wear on the edges, and that's a lot got to do with just, you know, guys getting in and out of the truck, having them, you know, knives in your pockets and whatnot. You're going to wear it out. So the dashes in these trucks, really nice. No cracking as far as the sunlight goes. You're really not going to see that in any, you know, in any extreme cases. So really not a whole lot to look for as far as the interiors on these trucks go. I've noticed that the steering wheels have always held up pretty nicely, even with high mileage trucks. They didn't go peeling off. On these extended cab truck doors, you know, a lot of these, you have problems in the Dodges where it collects water on the latch, and then you can't get the doors open. These trucks didn't do that. They did a really good job with that. So, you know, high mileage trucks, if you're looking at the truck 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 miles, you're going to have normal wear and tear on that type of truck. But there's, like I said again, there's not going to be a high failure thing that which you look at and you go, hey, every one of these seat covers is going to be off. You're just not going to get that. So again, it goes back to how the truck was taken care of. So now we're going to move on to drivetrain. All right, now on to drivetrain. And drivetrain we consider to be axles, transmission, transfer case, and axles. Now these trucks, some of them had Ford axles in them, some of them had Dana axles in them, pretty much both on both sides. Axles really not a whole lot to worry about. Your hubs on these trucks are vacuum actuated, and you can have some problems with that in a higher mileage vehicle again. So you'll want to test that before you purchase. Make sure that you have, you know, when you lock it in four-wheel drive, the front wheels are pulling. Now brakes, these trucks were notorious for having brake problems. That's a common thing when you get it home. Make sure you change out your calipers. Use good quality stuff, calipers, brakes, rotors. put them on there, and they'll serve you well. Transfer case really didn't have any problems with. 5R110 transmission, honestly, I feel like it's probably arguably one of the most low maintenance and best quality transmissions out there as far as being able to just bang on it. I say that, and that's not the correct way to explain it. So Josh and I talking, getting up to your horsepower goal. So if your 500 horsepower is your goal, depending on your driving style, on a 5R110, you're probably going to be able to reach that 450 horsepower on normal quality, good tuning, without a lot of transmission problems. Obviously, upgrading your transmission is a nice thing to do when you're trying to make power, but when you go to drive one of these trucks, I just don't feel like you're going to, if you get in a truck that hasn't been absolutely destroyed, torn apart, banged on, and so on, you're probably going to get in a transmission that's going to be smooth shifting, and that's what you're looking for. You're looking for good smooth shifts, firm on lockup, doesn't seem like it's slipping, anything like that. You don't want to drive, you don't want to put it in drive and have a slush box full of neutral. So moral of the story is 5R110, not a lot to worry about, but if you're going to start making power above 500, you are going to need to do some upgrades on that 5R110. So yeah, drivetrain, leaf spring rear, coil spring on the front, did a really good job with that. Suspension does good on these trucks. F250 is the lightest of the class, but even with an F250, you're going to have to load it pretty heavy to notice any flex in suspension. It's a truck, man. It does good. Now on to the piece de resistance. We're going to talk about the engine, 6.0 Powerstroke. Guys, in this video, if you jump down into the comment section, if you've got any 6.0 advice or you've got any 6.0 experience or something you want to talk about or questions, jump down there in the comments and post them up. It's really kind of like a mini forum where you guys can get down in there and talk. There'll be questions down there that we're going to be able to answer for you. There might be some questions down there other 6.0 guys are going to jump in there and answer for you. But it just serves as a place to be able to share and trade secrets and get some ideas on your trucks, or things that you want to do, to some upgrades that you can have a place to talk about. So jump down in the comments. You got a 6.0, you want to tell us a story, you want to ask a question, let's hear it. All right, let's talk about the 6.0 Powerstroke. Everybody knows the horror stories of this. We're going to try to unravel as much of that as we possibly can inside of this video, because our buyer's guide are to foster people to go out and purchase diesel trucks. Now, some of these older, quote unquote, older diesel trucks, these are the trucks that you all are looking to get into if you're just now purchasing your first camper, or maybe you've purchased a bass boat that's too big for your half-ton to pull. And I hope that you did that. Side note, I hope that you bought a damn bass boat that's too big for a half-ton pull. But anyway, you guys are buying these trucks, you young guys are buying these because these are the things that you want to cruise around your hometown in and pick up girls or pick up guys, whatever that is. This is where this is at. Now, you're not going to find anything that makes you an enthusiast any faster than being a light duty diesel owner. So the 6.0 Powerstroke is probably going to be what most of you hear everybody telling you to stay away from. In fact, there's been several times that you've heard me say ad nauseum, don't buy a 6.0 Powerstroke. It's all crap. There are things that have to be done to this motor to be able to make it a reliable motor, and that's a term that we're going to use. There's another term that's used very loosely out there in the industry as what to do to 6.0 Powerstrokes, and I'm not going to use that term in this video. Everybody knows what that term is, but I am going to use the term reliable because that's ultimately what you're trying to do here. Most of the time, 80% of you watching this video, you're trying to buy a 6.0 Powerstroke and make it reliable. The other 20% of you are possibly wanting to buy it to try to make power. So let's talk about reliability. Let's talk about what you're wanting to look for in your initial purchase of a 6.0 Powerstroke. So what is the main thing that happens to these engines that starts the horror stories? And that's a blown head gasket. All right, let's talk about how blown head gaskets happen in short form. In short form, technically, and from an engineering standpoint, the blown head gasket happens because this engine was designed with a 10 head bolt design, and that, as far as the cylinders go, do not contain the cylinder pressures correctly to not have head gasket failures. There's just not enough clamp load on the deck to keep the head gaskets in. Now, there are other contributing factors that accelerate the process of the head gasket failure in this, and I'm going to tell you, it is high drive pressure from EGT or from VGT turbo. It is It is increased engine temperature from lack of flow across your EGR cooler. It's EGR failures. It's a lot of different things that can accelerate the process, and head bolt stretch that can accelerate the head gasket problem. Now, so to fix that in stock form, the first thing that you have to do, once you have a head gasket failure on these trucks, you have to convert over to head studs. And more to that, when you pull the heads off these trucks, and this is the common mistake that a lot of people make, a lot of people will take the heads off these trucks, put head gaskets on them, put head studs in it, and they think they're okay. You're not okay. You've got to send the head off to machine. You've got to have the run out on it checked. You've got to have it checked for cracks. I couldn't tell you how many 6.0 trucks that we've seen in our shop that had head studs in them and had a head stud problem and still continue to puke coolant. That is a common sign of a cracked head. The truck's got to be torn apart, and you don't want to pay for that job twice. So now that we've talked about head gaskets, you know what it is, you know what it happens. How do you know whether it's happened to the truck that you're attempting to purchase? The first thing that you're going to want to look at is the telltale signs and evidence around the degas bottle. If a degas bottle is being pressurized from the exhaust gases, be it coming from the EGR failing, or if it's coming from a head gasket failure and combustion gases getting in, you will see traces of coolant all around the cap. Now, the degas bottles on the 6.0s are known to crack around the seams. So if you have coolant around the seams and it's being pushed out there, yes, you might need a degas bottle. However, the 10 psi, or I'm sorry, the 16 psi that is in the degas bottle, if it's just a mess of coolant traces around there, you're probably still going to be looking at a possible head gasket failure on it. But the telltale signs are looking for the trail of the coolant, and when you add the coolant in these bottles, when there's blowing out of the degas bottle, it's going to be tracked all over here. Trust me, when you see it, you will know what you're looking for there. When you take a truck out, you've got to test drive it and get it up to operating temperature. You cannot just drive it, take it for a whirl around the neighborhood and bring it back and then start writing the man a check. Do not do that. You have to take it out, you have to drive it, you have to bang on it, but you've got to get it up to operating temperature. When you get it up to operating temperature, you want to come back, you want to look for fresh coolant that's been pushed out of the degas bottle, because if a man's trying to sell you a 6.0 Powerstroke, the first thing he's going to do before you come to look at it is he's going to fill the degas bottle back with coolant. And the reason why he's going to do that is so you don't look at it and go, there's no coolant in that degas bottle. So that's going to get pushed out as soon as it gets up to operating temperature if the head gasket failure is bad enough, and it will be, I promise you. Second thing you're looking for is upper radiator hose hardness. When you've got leakage of combustion gases into the coolant system, you are going to have a hard upper radiator hose. That's the next thing that you want to look for. So you shut the truck off, don't take a cap off of it, don't do anything, come over here. This truck's up to operating temperature right now, and you see that hose? That hose is very pliable. We're in good shape there. That's nothing to worry about. This truck's in excellent condition as far as that goes. Now, traditionally with an EGR failure, as we talked about, just to cover all the coolant system, traditionally with an EGR failure, you're going to have the coolant that's actually leaking into the cylinders. At that point, you've got a motor that's possibly hydrolocked at that time, or it's burning. If it's just a slight compromise of the EGR, it'll actually be burning a little coolant, so you'll be getting a little bit of white smoke and things like that. So that's just another thing to look for. I don't know what any of this means, but apparently you can buy t-shirts on YouTube now. So we're going to link you directly on here on YouTube in the video somewhere where you can go and you can purchase Thoroughbred Diesel swag. It'll be great. You don't have to leave your video or the YouTube realm or whatever in the hell goes on here. Go here, buy yourself some Thoroughbred Diesel swag. The next thing that's probably historically one of the worst things to go wrong with these trucks is FICMs. This is what Josh and I were just talking about. FICMs can take out your injectors. They can give you a lot of problems. A lot of the no-start conditions that come with trucks are from FICMs not making correct power. So that's one thing that you're going to want to look at, and that's one thing that you're going to have to know, that's something that you may need to address if you purchase a truck. VGT turbos on these. This is Ford's first attempt at using a VGT turbo. Turbo failures on these trucks are very, very common, and that comes from an accumulation of soot in the VGT vanes that comes from obviously having a EGR system on these trucks. The turbos themselves, You know, it is a garage charger in stock form. It is a good charger, but however, you've got to take care of the systems that work with it, as far as the EGR and so on, to be able to keep it clean, to be able to keep the soot levels down, and for you not to have anything to worry about there. Now, next, and we got a visitor to the shop today. That man's in a Dodge, so he don't want to hear us talk about the Ford. The next thing we want to talk about here is going to be the oil coolers. Now, the oil cooler failures on these trucks, oil coolers getting plugged up is going to mess up your delta between your coolant temperature and your oil temperature. And once you have a raise in that, you're going to get the coking, you're going to get the breakdown in the flow to the EGR. That's usually what takes out the EGR, is the clogging of the oil cooler. I'm going to tell you the first thing to do when you buy one of these trucks, when you get it home, is change out your EGR, clean out your EGR, change it out, change out your oil cooler. And those are going to be two of your first things that you're going to do just to keep the engine overall happy. Now, injector failures on these trucks, again, we talked about that just a little bit with FICMs. It can happen from anything. It can happen from FICMs taking them out and getting getting incorrect power to them. They can get oil quality. You've got a Huey injection system like we talked about with 7.3s. You've got to keep the oil changed. You've got to make sure that you're not getting dirty oil into the injectors, because it'll take them out. Using a good quality injector is paramount here. You don't want to put some cheap crap in here, because you really just don't want to have to take the valve covers off these trucks. And then another big failure problem on these trucks was the stock water pump. The stock water pump had a plastic impeller on it. I understand from an engineering side why they do that, but from common sense side, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There are a lot of upgraded water pumps out there on the market. When you break a fin inside of those plastic water pumps, it causes cavitation. The cavitation is going to cause, well, it's going to cause a lot of different things, but one of the main things that you're going to get here is you're going to get incorrect flow of coolant. You're going to have a bigger chance of overheating on these trucks, and we all know what that leads to. That leads to stretch, that leads to blown head gaskets, all the things. So yeah, a lot to talk about in the 6.0 Powerstrokes, but reliable. Remember, that's what we said our key term was. You've got to make this engine reliable. So you get a good quality EGR on it. You get a good quality water pump on it. You change out your oil cooler. You freshen up your FICM, and you check your turbo for correct actuation, and everything else, it's going to be fine. It's going to be a truck that serves you. It serves you for whatever you're deciding to do with it, as long as you maintain it correctly. And you've got to study about these trucks. This is not a shade tree vehicle that you can go out and diagnose. I definitely suggest you invest in something so that you can get data. Being able to get data for these engines is crucial to being able to make them live. So an Edge Insight is a perfect example. Edge Insight, there's enough parameters there that you can monitor coolant temperature, of course. You can monitor oil temperature. You can monitor VGT position. You can read and check codes, those types of things. That's a very cheap piece of insurance that you can get. If you don't do anything else, don't just buy a code reader and say that's going to be enough. A code reader doesn't do anything for you. Real-time data is what you've got to have. You've got to know what the truck is doing to be able to keep your truck on the road and keep it performing correctly for you. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I know Adam's already looked out from behind the camera 2 or 3 times looking at me like, dog, we've got to cut this off. That's really it. I'm probably forgetting some things, and you're more than welcome to ask us any of the questions that you have. Check for studs. That's what Adam was looking at me so funny about. On these trucks, if someone tells you that they've done everything to it, and it's ready for you to go, you want to look for studs. And I don't think we're going to get a camera shot on this, but you all know, and we have a video, and we're going to link you inside right over here to where you can look at an engine and see if it's got studs. But the easiest way to do it, there's a place on the passenger side valve cover, and Adam's going to take one stab at this and see if he can get in there. I'm going to see if I can get my light working for him. If you look right down there, you see where the head bolts are by the exhaust side. If it's got an Allen head in the top of it, it's got a head stud in it. Yeah, he can't get it. That's okay. That's all right. We tried. There's a video that we'll link you to show you how to look at an engine and know whether it's got head studs in it. So yeah, Absolutely. 6.0s, don't be scared of them. Gonna make you nuts. There's a lot of these trucks out there. That's another thing. There's a lot of these trucks out there that aren't running, and people don't want to get running. I can promise you, if you find a 6.0, barring that, if you turn it over and you spin it over and there's not a clunking or anything like that, or it don't have a hole in the side of the block, you can take it home and you can get it running. It's gonna make you a good truck. You know, obviously, there's outliers to that, there's exceptions to that, but more than likely, it's just somebody that doesn't know how to correctly diagnose it, they can't get it running, and there you go. So 6.0 Powerstroke, don't be scared of them. I'm gonna quit talking about them. If you got any questions, give us a call, like and subscribe to the channel. Big thank you to Josh Wesley for bringing this out. Josh Wesley is the mayor of 6.0ville, so if you find him on social media, he will be glad to talk to you about anything you want to talk about 6.0. Don't aggravate the crap out of him. If you want to give the man a shout out about a beautiful truck, he's definitely got to talk to, good man. So thanks for watching.